What's going on, everyone? Hopefully everyone's having an amazing day. You need to stop scrolling. You need to turn up your volume. You need to listen to this. This might be the most shocking crypto story of the year. Documents, tweets, timing, all lining up. And what I'm about to show you is true. It's bigger than any ETF approval, bigger than any lawsuit win. We're talking about Ripple, XRP, and a secret plan at the very top of the US government. I'm going to walk you through how Ripple is quietly building the rails for a brand new financial system and how, according to multiple leaks, the system could already be tied to Trump's family and their inner circle. This isn't some random rumor. There's a trail of filings, partnerships, and timings that is all pointing to one thing. XRP being positioned as the backbone of America's new financial reset. Stick with me because by the end of this video, you're going to understand why some believe President Trump may already be using XRP in a secret operation to pay down the US national debt and roll out the quantum financial system. If true, we're not just early. We're sitting on the greatest financial shift in history, folks. And we're going to start right here. Let's talk about the obvious moves Ripple has made that no one is connecting to Trump yet. You see it on your screen. Ripple just launched its USD-backed stablecoin, RLUSD, powering payments across Africa. Partnerships with Cyphercast, Valor, Yellowcard. These aren't test pilots. These are massive networks that are moving real money. But here's the kicker. XRP has already been tested against African crypto regulatory frameworks, not once, but twice. All documented right here by Smoke himself. Why does this matter? Well, it's simple. Because Africa is the perfect test bed for a new global payment system. Low-cost rails, high-volume remittances, and guess what? No legacy infrastructure blocking the way. Ripple isn't experimenting. They're running rehearsals on small rails. They can be flipped on anywhere, including the US. Remember that because we're going to come back to it. But I want to fast-forward you to something here. Ripple's US banking play. All right. This is Brad Garlinghouse in an interview talking about publicly revealing that they're pushing for a US banking charter, an OC license, and even a Fed master account. Okay, listen to this clip because we're not just talking about another crypto company here trying to be legit. This is Ripple stepping directly into the US banking system, the very core of the financial infrastructure. Listen up! You still want a banking license, right? Even though you have this deal with BNY. Well, yes is the short answer. We have pursued and requested application to apply for an OC license as well as a FedMaster account. We think that the key here for crypto and the kind of decentralized finance, as many people call it, Ripple has been building bridges between traditional finance and decentralized finance. The world isn't going to be taken over by crypto. Instead, we think about how do we take the best of what crypto brings in facilitating faster, cheaper transactions and bring it to traditional finance. That's been at the heart of what Ripple has been focused on from the beginning. This is a step towards that. And certainly getting an OC license, for those that have said that the crypto world wants to be unregulated whatever, the opposite is true. You know, I'm here in Washington in part, as you referenced, there's a Senate Banking Committee hearing today. We are advocating as an industry to be regulated, and those that like Ripple who have stepped forward and said we want to get an OC license, in addition to the licenses we have with the New York Department of Financial Services, it only continues to augment that very robust, very compliance-first, trusted partners so that we can continue to use these technologies to benefit consumers and businesses alike. So Brad literally says the quote here, we're not anti-regulation. We want in the right way. That's the language you use when you're negotiating with governments, not begging for forgiveness. Ripple is positioning itself to become a bank, and not just any bank. They want to become the bank. Here's the actual filing here, right? Remember this filing for a second because I want to go over to something that Jake said. Now, how crazy would this be? The government shutdown ends up delaying everything except one thing. That one thing being the Clarity Act. And once that Clarity Act passes, XRP ends up being the only crypto with full clarity in the United States. Think about the timing here. A liquidity crisis looms from the reserve territory that's unwinding. The Fed and the Treasury need a digital asset that can move instantly and at scale. And suddenly, the only option with the legal clarity and global rails, it's XRP. It's like a chessboard where every move looks random until you step back and you see checkmate. And then we get over to the actual filing because this is where it gets even spicier. Ripple filed for a Ripple National Trust Bank. This filing was supposed to be ruled. Can you guess when? In October? But guess what's not going to happen? In October? That's right. Why? Well, because the government shut down, everything is delayed. Is this a coincidence? Nah, I don't think so. Or is this the perfect cover to slow walk a decision that could literally put Ripple inside the heart of the US banking system? You can see as we scroll down through this beautiful thing, you can see the trust. You can see Ripple sign this. Now, this National Trust Bank status would give Ripple the ability to operate as a federally recognized bank. Let that sink in for a second. That's not a crypto startup territory. That's way outside of their league. That's like going from single A ball all the way to the pros. This is Federal Reserve level territory. But it gets even bigger here, okay? Because as this unfolds, David is leaving Ripple. We've talked about that very frequently within these past 2 days because that is a very, very big happening. Perfect timing, if you may, right? Why? Well, you heard me say it. Builders leave when the foundation is done. Satoshi disappeared once Bitcoin became unstoppable. And here's the real bombshell. Look who's headlining Ripple Swell Conference this year. You can see him on the screen. NASDAQ BNY is going to be there. BlackRock, Citi, Bitwise, JP Morgan, the CME Group, VanEck, Fidelity. This isn't random. It looks like a handoff to me. David exits stage left, the biggest asset managers in the world, and the big names come out and they step right onto the stage. Ripple doesn't need a founder anymore. It needs an army of institutions to scale what is already built. Do you see this? What is going on here? Perfect timing, if you ask me. Government shuts down. Ripple Bank gets delayed. David Schwartz leaves. He's no longer going to be working on the XRP ledger. He'll be sitting on the board overseeing things. But now we have all these major institutions and all these big names stepping into Ripple Swell event for the first time ever. And then we get this one. This is interesting. We got the headline. Multiple sources out there are now whispering that President Trump is laying the groundwork for a new quantum financial system, a reset of the US debt and payments. Now, as Trump and his circle were looking for a digital asset to execute on that vision, they're going to need one that's fast, that's cheap, globally tested, already connected to the banks, about to have full-on blown-out regulatory clarity, and is right here in the US of what checks every single box? XRP. Imagine the headlines. Trump uses XRP to pay off national debt. Brad goes down as a hero. David Schwartz is this genius. He comes out as Satoshi and nothing happens to him because of what he has done. Because every single move we just talked about, Africa testing, banking charters, national trust banks, David leaving, BlackRock involvement, it all lines up perfectly with a secret plan to roll out a new financial system using XRP as the rails. And if you want to add some fuel on the fire, well, how about this one? It's when you thought it couldn't get even crazier. Eric Trump, you know who he is, right? He says crypto is going to replace traditional finance, and it's happening so fast now. The Trumps are very well connected. They know everyone and anyone out there. They know what's going on behind the scenes. Not might happen. He said not maybe someday. He said it is happening so fast. What if this wasn't just a throwaway line? What if Eric Trump is telegraphing what already is in motion behind the scenes? What me and you can't see because we don't have privilege and access to that type of information, but information that the Trumps have access to, and that they control, and that they dictate where the world is going. You see what's going on over in the UK or the US trying to make a transatlantic cryptocurrency? Interesting, right? If this is true, or even a very, very little part of this is true, you're not going to be watching a crypto bull run. You are going to be watching a global financial reset with XRP at the center of it. And you want to know who's going to benefit the most from this? Me and you, because we're early. We've been here. We've been reading through the lines. We've been understanding everything that is going on behind the scenes because we know how to connect the dots and we see where this is going. Ripple is not an ordinary company. XRP, it is not an ordinary asset. Everything they're doing between governments and central banks, the White House, moving money, liquidity crisis, replacing SWIFT, fixing a 40 to 50-year-old broken financial system, is all happening right now in front of our very eyes. You have two options. You either get on board or you're going to get left behind. It's that simple. But they are throwing everything at you that is hinting that there is something major coming. And with all these delays, it is all lining up, folks. So let's connect all these dots. Ripple stablecoin and XRP tested in Africa. Ripple's pursuing a U.S. banking charter, an OC license, and a Federal Reserve master account. Government shutdown. Well, delaying critical filings. Go figure. Us XRP holders, we're used to delays. David leaving, just as BlackRock and VanEck and Fidelity are all starting to step in and showing up to Ripple Swell event for the first time ever to speak. Trump rumored to be rolling out a quantum financial system to tackle U.S. debt. And then Eric Trump comes out right here on Fox Business openly saying that crypto is replacing traditional finance fast. This isn't random. This isn't hype. This is a pattern. And if the pattern is what it looks like, we're about to witness the biggest financial shift of our lifetimes. And XRP, it's sitting at the center of it. Don't blink. Don't get distracted by the headlines because when this plan goes public, it won't be a slow rollout.